Soldiers fight in dangerous places around the world. But sometimes they face creatures that shouldn't exist. From African jungles to Middle Eastern deserts, troops have seen spiders bigger than anything science says is possible. The Congo attack, 1890s. Back in the 1890s, Belgian soldiers were fighting in the Congo jungle in Africa. They had a group called the Force Publique that was hunting down slave traders. One day, a whole patrol of soldiers just disappeared. Days later, two men came stumbling out of the jungle, barely alive and completely crazy with fear. One was a young African soldier, the other was a Belgian officer named Remy Jansen. Here's what they said happened: their patrol was running from enemy fighters when they got lost deep in the jungle. Wounded men started dying from the heat. Then the jungle went dead silent, no birds, no insects, nothing. That's when the spiders came. These weren't normal spiders. Their bodies were as big as large dogs. Their legs stretched out 5 feet across. Hundreds of them came crawling out of the bushes. They jumped on the soldiers, bit them with huge fangs, and dragged screaming men up into the trees or back into the dark jungle. Only 2 soldiers made it out alive. The Belgian commanders thought these guys had gone crazy from the heat. But the local people in Congo weren't surprised at all. They knew about something called the JBA fofi, the giant Congo spider. They said these monsters lived in hidden nests made of webs and leaves. The locals claimed these spiders hunted animals and sometimes even people. The Missionaries' Terror, Uganda, 1890s. Around the same time, an English missionary named Arthur Sims was traveling through Uganda with 2 local helpers. They were walking through thick jungle when they got tangled up in massive spider webs hanging between the trees. Then 2 giant spiders attacked, each one had legs that stretched 4 feet across. The spiders jumped on his 2 helpers who were still stuck in the webs. Sims pulled out his gun and started shooting wildly at the monsters. The spiders ran away, but it was too late. His helpers died from the spider bites and poison. The Congo sighting, 1938. In 1938, a British couple named Reginald and Margaret Lloyd were driving through the Congo jungle. They saw what looked like a big cat crossing the road ahead of them. When they stopped their truck to let it pass, they couldn't believe what they were really looking at. It was a massive spider that looked like a giant tarantula. Its legs spread out 4 to 5 feet across. Mr. Lloyd was shaking so hard he couldn't even grab his camera to take a picture. Mrs. Lloyd was so scared she wanted to go straight home to England. World War II, Island Hell, Pacific. During World War II, American and Australian soldiers fought the Japanese on jungle islands in the Pacific. But they found more than enemy soldiers waiting for them. An American soldier was cutting through thick jungle with his machete when he almost walked face first into a giant spider web. The spider was bright emerald green and measured 3 feet from leg tip to leg tip. It was shiny and covered in hair like a huge tarantula. His first thought was to chop it up with his machete, and that's exactly what he did. An Australian soldier named Jackson was taking a bathroom break in the jungle during a patrol. He noticed big cobwebs all around him, but that didn't worry him much. Australia has lots of big spiders. But then he saw something watching him from just a few feet away. It was a jet black spider with a body the size of a small dog. Its legs were thick and hairy like a tarantula. Jackson slowly backed away, never taking his eyes off the creature, until he made it back to safety with his patrol. Vietnam War, Special Forces horror. During the Vietnam War, American Special Forces soldiers spent months at a time deep in unexplored jungles. They were hunting for enemy camps and supply routes. One veteran said his 5-man team saw these giant spiders several times. The spiders had bodies as big as dinner plates. From leg tip to leg tip, they measured 20 to 30 inches across. They always found them near streams and rivers. These things scared the entire unit so badly that when they shot at them with their M16 rifles, emptying whole magazines of bullets, the spiders kept moving around like nothing happened. Iraq War, the Cat Killer, 2009. In 2009, an army soldier was stationed at a small base in Iraq called FOB Brassfield Mora. One night, he and 3 other soldiers were walking back from dinner when they saw one of the base cats acting crazy, hissing and backing away from something with all its fur standing up. They looked to see what was scaring the cat. At first, they thought they were looking at poles or sticks poking out from under their living quarters, about 2 feet long and angled upward. Then they realized what they were really seeing. Those weren't sticks. They were spider legs. The spider's body, not counting the legs, was as big as a 2-liter bottle of soda. It looked like a massive black wolf spider. In the blink of an eye, this monster ran out, grabbed the cat, and dragged it back under the building while the cat fought and screamed. A few days later, they found what was left of the cat near the garbage area. Just bones, skin, and fur, everything else had been eaten. What science says versus what soldiers see. Scientists say spiders can't grow this big because of how they breathe and because of gravity. The oxygen in our air today supposedly won't support giant spiders like this. But new animals are discovered all the time. In 2001, scientists found the giant huntsman spider in a cave in Laos. Nobody knew it existed before then. Its legs stretch 12 inches across. There's also the Goliath bird-eater spider in South America. Just like the name says, it's big enough to eat birds. Remember, 100 years ago scientists laughed at stories of giant man-eating lizards living on islands near Indonesia. Then in 1910, a Dutch military officer went looking and came back with a dead 6-foot lizard. 16 years later, an explorer brought back 2 live ones to the Bronx Zoo. We now call them Komodo dragons. The pattern. What's amazing is how similar all these stories are, even though they come from different countries, different wars, and different decades. Spiders with bodies as big as dogs or dinner plates. Legs that stretch 3 to 6 feet across. They're aggressive and will attack people. They're found in jungles near water. Soldiers who see them are never the same. Jungle warfare means going into places where no human has ever been before. In these remote areas, we've only discovered about 25% of all the animal species that exist. Who knows what else is out there? Modern soldiers in tropical jungles describe walking through what they call spider cities, massive web complexes where creatures of all sizes live together in the darkest parts of the forest. The question remains. From the Belgian Congo over 100 years ago to modern Iraq, soldiers keep reporting the same thing: spiders too big to be real. These aren't made-up stories, they come from trained military personnel who have seen combat and know the difference between reality and imagination. Maybe these creatures represent unknown species that evolution took down a different path. Maybe they're genetic throwbacks to prehistoric times. Or maybe in the fog of war, fear and adrenaline make normal spiders seem like monsters. But one thing is certain, when battle-tested soldiers come out of unexplored jungles telling the same story again and again, maybe it's time we start listening.